At 34, I believed I had finally stopped needing my family's approval, but something inside me still held on to the hope that maybe this Christmas would be different. I drove nearly 6 hours through a violent Pennsylvania snowstorm with my 6-year-old daughter, Ava, asleep in the passenger seat. The roads were dangerous, the world outside was white and endless, and every mile felt like I was traveling not just toward a house, but toward a place that had never truly felt like home. When I finally reached my parents' house, I sat in the car for a moment, taking a deep breath, reminding myself to stay calm and not expect too much. But the moment I stepped out with Ava holding my hand, I already felt that familiar distance waiting for me. My mother opened the door and looked at me without warmth, without relief, without even the smallest sign of concern for our long journey. Instead of asking if we were safe, she glanced at my coat and said in a cold voice that I should not sit in the dining room, but in the breakfast area with the children. The words were simple, but the meaning was heavy. It was not about space. It was about placement. About where I belonged in their eyes. I followed her gaze into the dining room where everything was arranged perfectly. Expensive china, crystal glasses, polished silverware, candles glowing softly, and a long table set as if for people who mattered. Then I looked toward the breakfast nook, where a small folding table stood covered with a worn plastic cloth, paper plates, and mismatched cups. It felt separate from the rest of the house, like a corner reserved for those who were present but not truly included. Ava squeezed my hand tightly and looked up at me with confusion in her eyes. She asked softly why Grandma always made us sit there, and for a moment I had no answer that would not hurt her. I knelt beside her, brushed her hair back, and told her gently that it was just so everyone had enough space, even though inside I knew the truth was far more complicated. My family had never seen me the way I saw myself. To them, I was still the daughter who left a marriage they approved of, the one who moved away, the one who never quite fit into their idea of success. What they didn't know was that I had rebuilt my entire life alone. I held a doctorate degree, worked in healthcare research, and managed programs worth over $150 million. I lived in Philadelphia in a home I built through years of hard work, raising my daughter with stability and dignity. But none of that mattered in this house. Here, I was still assigned a corner. Later that evening, my sister Natalie arrived, excited and glowing, introducing her new boyfriend, a man she clearly admired. My mother smiled at him in a way she rarely smiled at me, as if approving him before he even spoke. The evening was supposed to be normal, but something shifted the moment the doorbell rang again. Natalie rushed to open it, eager to present him to the family, but the moment he stepped inside, everything changed. He stopped suddenly when his eyes landed on me. His expression drained of color, his body froze, and his hand instinctively grabbed the doorframe as if he needed support. The room grew quiet without anyone understanding why. Natalie, unaware of what was happening, introduced him proudly, but before she could finish, I calmly said that we had already met. That single sentence changed the entire atmosphere. Everyone turned toward us in confusion. A few weeks earlier, I had met him at a professional event related to healthcare funding. He represented an organization that had submitted a major grant proposal that was now under my review. During that time, he had reached out to me repeatedly outside of professional boundaries, trying to form a personal connection, and I had firmly declined every time. What I did not know then was that he had begun dating my sister. What my sister did not know was that the same man she trusted was connected to my professional decisions. And what my mother did not know was that she had already seen his messages before this night and chose not to say anything. The truth didn't explode all at once. It unraveled slowly, painfully, in front of everyone. The man tried to explain himself, insisting he did not know we were related, and maybe that was true in part, but the damage was already done. The illusion of a perfect evening, of a perfect guest, of a perfect family gathering had already broken. The silence at the table became unbearable. No one touched their food. No one spoke freely anymore. The air felt heavy with everything that had been ignored for years finally rising to the surface. I looked around the table, at the people who had raised me but never truly seen me, and for the first time I felt something clear inside me, clarity, not anger. I stood up, took Ava's hand, and walked out of the dining room without shouting, without arguing, without trying to explain myself further. Outside, the snow was still falling quietly, covering everything in white as if the world itself was trying to soften what had just happened. The cold air hit my face as I stepped out of the house that had never made me feel fully accepted. Ava looked at me in the car and asked if we were okay. I paused for a moment, then started the engine and told her softly that yes, we were safe, and we were going home. On the drive back, messages began arriving, some apologizing, some defending, some trying to explain years of behavior in a few sentences. I read them but did not respond immediately because I understood something important for the first time in a long while. Being family does not mean accepting disrespect. Time passed, and slowly the situation shifted. My sister eventually visited my apartment and saw the life I had built, calm, independent, stable. My father reached out, asking if my mother could visit one day, and I did not answer right away because healing cannot be rushed or demanded. One evening, Ava sat beside me and asked again if they liked us now, and I told her gently that the real question was not whether they liked us, but whether we understood our own worth. And for the first time in my life, I truly did. Because respect is not something you chase, it is something you recognize when it is missing, and peace does not come from being accepted by everyone, but from finally accepting yourself.